ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So here Lord Kapila is describing the destination, the goal of yogis, those who practice breathing exercises, the Ashtanga yoga system, who control their mind, actually can reach to the point finally of Satyaloka. In Brahma Samhita it is said, even if a yogi can make an airplane which runs at the speed of mind, still, even with that kind of plane, the abode of the Lord remains inconceivable for him. Manaso api pungavanam, even if he makes an airplane with the speed of mana. So, reaching the spiritual world, the kingdom of God, is not very easy. If one takes to gradual, indirect path, that indirect path does not directly lead one to the final destination. It is just like suppose there is a direct connection between two cities, and you can reach there, let us say, in half an hour. Suppose the direct connectivity is called aerial distance, say between Hubli and Bangalore. So if we have a means to cover that aerial distance directly, we can reach there. But then sometimes there are connecting flights. When you book your tickets, sometimes there are direct flights, sometimes there are connecting flights. So let us say you want to reach Bangalore, you can actually reach Bangalore in 45 minutes, right? If you take direct flight. But if you take an indirect flight, it depends. Sometime it may be 6 hours, You first land in Mumbai and then you wait for 2-3 hours and then you may reach Bangalore. Isn't it? So there are direct process and there are indirect process. Devotional service to the Lord is the direct process. And karma, jnana, yoga, these are all indirect process. Say for example, if one takes to the path of karma, one may enjoy his life with great opulence in heavenly planets, in Pitralokas. And after understanding the futility, one may give up this process and then take to the next process of jnana. When one takes to the process of jnana, he still does not reach directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He reaches impersonal Brahman. And after undergoing severe penances, austerities, if one takes to the process of yoga, breathing exercises, then it is said here, one can reach to the point of Brahmaloka or Satyaloka. So even a yogi is not able to directly go to the spiritual world. So, if finally the goal of the Vedic literatures, the goal of human life is to go back to Godhead, then why should we take to these indirect processes? This is actually what should be understood. If there is a process available that we can reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead and enter into the kingdom of God directly, then actually there is no need to take to these indirect processes at all. When we take to these indirect processes and we reach the respective goal of that process and not the final goal. Every process has a respective goal. No doubt you have become closer to your final goal, but still we have not reached our final goal. And there are possibilities when you reach your respective goal of the process you have taken, you may not proceed further at all, or you may even come down from that position back to square one. Just like it is said in Bhagavatam, those yogis with lot of austerities, penances, they rise very high in their consciousness. But because they do not engage in loving devotional service of the Supreme Lord, they again fall down. So they may go to Brahmaloka, they may go to Brahma Jyoti, but still they have to come back. It is like Prabhupada gives an example. You take an airplane, you go high in the sky. But until and unless you have a place where you can land, you cannot remain in the sky for a very long time. It's very important to understand. So all these processes like jnana, karma or yoga can take us higher and higher, there is no doubt about it. But because there is no anchor, there is no guarantee that we will stay high. We again come back. Say for example, with karma, you go to the heavenly planets, which is higher planets. But after we exhaust our punya, we come back to this material world. With yoga, let us say one rises up to Brahma Loka. Still there is no guarantee. Because consciousness is not absorbed in the Supreme Lord. Consciousness is absorbed in that particular process. So it is said, if our consciousness is absorbed on the different demigods, one can reach to the planet of the demigod, but one cannot reach the supreme planet. That is not possible. Similarly, the Jnanis, they may go up to impersonal Brahma Jyoti, Brahman, but for them also there is no guarantee. They also fall down. So these three things if we understand, by karma, one can elevate to heavenly planet, he still comes back. By jnana, one can go to Brahma Jyoti and still he has to come back. By yoga, one can go to Satya Loka and still there is no guarantee. Still he may have to come back. That we find Prabhupada is saying. Such yoga or demigod worshippers are subjected to the chance of taking birth again when there is again creation. So actually, just think about this. We spend so much time in this lifetime. And again we come back in this material world. Whether I will get better prospects of practicing spiritual life, there is no guarantee. It is not that I have practiced and then certain kind of spiritual practice, and then I come back and I will start once again in the next lifetime from that point itself. There is no doubt. If spiritual practices we have taken, that credit is there. But because there is independence of the living entity, he may still misutilize that independence and may not progress at all. Just like in Bhagavad Gita it is said, those who have left some spiritual practices, they get chance once again to be born in the family of Shuchinam Shrimatam Gehe, where some kind of spiritual practices are going on, and in aristocratic opulent family. But is it guaranteed? Once you take birth in the family of a Brahmana, Shuchinam, or once you take birth in the family of aristocracy, actually that birth is given for them to advance further, so that bodily necessity one does not have to struggle because of whatever he has done in his previous life. He is granted that facility But once the facilities are granted, there is independence to misuse. And maximum, this is what we find. How many of the people who are in aristocratic family have become devotees of the Lord? How many of the people who are born in Shuchinam have also become, we find, no? Isn't it? Even though there are chances given to them. So, actually it is very risky if one takes to the indirect process of devotional service. That even though whatever spiritual asset one has acquired, that is definitely never lost. But the circumstances in the material world are such that perpetually one can be in bondage without chance of getting out. This is the meaning of this material world. So until and unless one becomes serious and with one pointed attention, one takes to the final goal, there is no guarantee how many lives we may have to come back in this material world. That is what one should understand. So, these comparisons we find in Bhagavad Gita, in Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understanding that in this age of Kali Yuga, even though the Lord has given the instructions very clearly in Bhagavad Gita, people in Kali Yuga are manda sumanda matayo. They are still very less intelligent. So Prabhupada explains sometimes the teacher understanding that his students are not very intelligent, takes the role of a student and practically shows him how to do that or how to solve that problem. Right? Sometimes we find the teacher going to the board and writing, write like this, A, B, C. Similarly, the Lord understanding the position of the living entity in this Yuga, Kali Yuga, which is filled with varieties of fault, which is an ocean of fault. The Supreme Lord, being very merciful, He gives a process which is not only direct, but which, if one takes to that process, one can achieve the highest goal of life. Just like we were reading few days back, Prema Pumartho Mahan. This is one of the very important message given by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this material world, before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, people were only thinking about Chatur Purusharthas. That yes, we come in this material world, first we should perform some kind of religious activities. And with those religious activities, we do economic development. And with economic development, we gratify our senses. And later, we should also think about liberation from this world. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Practically no one is aware about Pancham Purushartha, the final goal of human form of life, which can actually give real satisfaction to the living entity. Even moksha cannot give full satisfaction to the living entity. Prabhupada says, even if a diseased person becomes healthy, there is no guarantee until and unless he engages in the activities which will keep him healthy, there is no guarantee that he will not become sick again. So moksha only means getting rid of this material attachments. But until and unless we become spiritually attached, there is no guarantee that we will not again become materially attached. Isn't it? That's how we find even these big sannyasis, they give up this material world by saying Jagat Mithya and Brahman Satya. But because they are not able to engage their consciousness in practical devotional service, they once again come back to this material world doing some kind of social service. See? So they give up material attachments, saying this Jagat is Mithya, it is all false, but finally they land up once again in this material world doing false services. So this is very important to understand that it is only the path of devotional service which actually can give real liberation to the living entity. Real liberation is called Swarupenas Vyavasthit. When one becomes situated in his original position as a servant of the Supreme Lord, that is called real liberation. And in that kind of liberation, even if one comes back in this material world, taking birth, one is still not entangled. One can be in devotional service either in the spiritual world or in the material world or in the hellish planet or in the heavenly planet, it does not matter. These external conditions do not matter. So, this Pancham Purushartha, Prema Pumartho Mahan, that in human form of life, the greatest goal, the highest goal is to achieve the love of Godhead. That was not known earlier. It is only by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya that actually we get this chance. What is special about this Kali Yuga and the process of devotional service which we have taken up now? It is special. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is no doubt, he is also Yuga Avatara. He is the incarnation for this millennium. Just like there are different avatars for different millenniums. If you read in Krishna book or if you read in Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto, Garg Muni, he says that this child, earlier he has come in Shukla Varna, Pita Varna, and then red. Yes. And now he has appeared in this blackish complexion. So that means the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in every millennium, in every yuga, the Lord comes in different forms. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Yuga Avatara, and at the same time he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Krishna himself, who came in Dwapar Yuga in blackish complexion. So Prabhupada explains from Chaitanya Charitamrita, this work of Yuga Avatara could have been carried on by any other Avatara of the Lord also. Yuga Dharma is Harinam Sankirtana. This could have been carried on by any other avatar also. But no one else apart from the Supreme Lord personally can bestow pure devotional service which is practiced in Vrindavan specifically by the gopis. No one else can bestow that apart from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in this Kali Yuga, we are very fortunate. We are not just practicing the Yuga Dharma. By practicing Yuga Dharma, you are going to get the highest love of Godhead. You see? Devotional service is also of different varieties. It is not that by practicing any kind of devotional service you will get Krishna Prema. It is mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Krishna Prema Pradayate. It is said very clearly in Bhagavatam. It is said very clearly in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is called by Rupa Goswami as Mahavadanyaya, most munificent, because to get Krishna Prema is not very easy. Only very rare soul can get it. Very, very rare soul. If you see in Bhagavad Gita, you find Krishna telling, Yesham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmana. Until and unless one has given up all sinful activities. Have we given up all sinful activities? Anyone? We are all doing still sinful activities. Isn't it? Bahunam janmanam ante, after many, many births, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye, yatatam api siddhanam kaschit mam vetti tatvatah. To understand Krishna himself is very rare, and to get Krishna Prema is most rare. And if the Lord is bestowing that Krishna Prema simply by chanting the holy name, simply by doing this Yuga Dharma, it is a great blessing of the Lord. Great blessing of the Lord. It is not that in every Yuga, if one is chanting the holy name of the Lord, one will get Krishna Prema. It is a special mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that in this Kali Yuga, along with chanting of the holy name, he says very clearly, if you just surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord, simply chanting this holy name of the Lord, you will get the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and you can get the highest Krishna Prema. You see? So this is a direct process which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given very, very mercifully. And just 500 years back, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. It is practically, if you see, in our terms it may look like 500 years, but if you see from above, if you see from the times of the demigods, it is very short time. Just practically for them it is yesterday Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born and today we are there. Isn't it? So, we should be very, very, understand the opportunity which Srila Prabhupada has given to all of us. This 10,000 years from the time of Lord Chaitanya are considered to be the golden period, golden age. Prabhupada says, after that, even if Sankirtana Yajna is there, even if the instructions of Krishna are available, but the time will be so horrible that practically it will be impossible for one to take to devotional service. And the time will come when the Lord finally will decide, adharma will go to such an extent, the Lord will take Kalki incarnation, no more Krishna consciousness preaching, he will take out his sword and simply kill. That's all. You see. So we are very fortunate, we should understand the direct process of devotional service, and even in that direct process of devotional service, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us the opportunity to achieve the highest Krishna Prema. So we should value that. So we will find this that in the further verses, Lord Kapila is going to summarize and give a conclusion to Mother Devahuti, that is why Lord Kapila is suggesting directly take to the devotional path. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.